Hello and welcome to Epworth in Action. I'm your host, Pastor Steve Taylor. I'm the associate pastor here at Epworth United Methodist Church, and we are so glad you've joined us for this week's program of Epworth in Action. On this week's program, you've heard on earlier programs when I talked to several people about the Chickashaumc Soup Kitchen. It's a newly formed 501c3, and it's a ministry of many churches here in the Chickashaumc area, as well as we have businesses and other organizations that help volunteer for that. On today's program, Reverend Michael Oberlander from First Christian Church, our board chairman, will be speaking with us today about the history of how it all got started and how you might be able to have some action steps and become active in the Chickashaumc Soup Kitchen. So we'll be talking with Michael as well. And at the end of the program, Pastor Scott Kennedy will have some words of encouragement for us. But first, I had a chance to sit down and talk with Michael Oberlander about the Chickashaumc Soup Kitchen. Well, I'm here with Reverend Michael Oberlander, who's our chairman of the board of the Chickashaumc Soup Kitchen. And Michael, thanks for joining us for this program.
Thanks for inviting me, Steve.
You are very welcome. And a lot of things have been going on, and I've gotten involved with the Chickashaumc Soup Kitchen as well as a couple of our teams here, and you've heard about that on one of our earlier programs. But I thought I would bring the brains behind it. Somewhat anyway. There's a lot of us that work on this. We have a whole board. We're a 501c3. And so, Michael, tell us about really the history real quick about this.
Absolutely. Well, years ago, I decided to start a noon worship service over at my church to try to capture the people that couldn't make it on Sunday mornings. People can come on their lunch hour. It was a short service, kind of like a shortened version of a Sunday morning with people having kind of like a dinner theater thing because they had their food. And it got to where we were actually providing food and people could make a donation for that. And we found that a homeless person had come in once, which we thought was great. And we told him, come on in, join us. And of course, you know, he couldn't pay anything, and that was fine. Well, then after a while, he had brought a friend and another friend, and next thing you know, we had about 10 to 15 homeless people coming in, and we were running out of food. And God put on my heart that, you know, these people are hungry. They're hungry for food, and they're hungry for the Word, because they always stayed and listened to the message. So, but it wasn't safe the way we were doing it. We were running out of food. We didn't have a safe environment for everybody involved because we would just have the doors open to anybody that came in. And so after a while, I decided to stop doing that noon worship service and started to think about how can we put together a proper ministry to feed the hungry of the Chickashaumc in the area. So we started, at our church, we started putting out peanut butter jelly sandwiches. Right. And we have a cooler that we would put out 10 or 15 sandwiches, and they were gone pretty quick. So then we would put out more sandwiches, and it got to where we were feeding about 50 or so of these peanut butter jelly sandwiches were going out. So I put a letter out to all the churches and organizations and said, I'm going to have a meeting. And we made soup. We thought that would be appropriate. One of my church members named Carolyn, she made soup, and we just asked people to come to have dinner and let's talk about what can we do. And then after that meeting and another one, about 10 different churches were represented at that time and said, we want to do something as well. So we began the process. I don't remember exactly how long it took from that meeting until we opened up for our first meal, but I'm thinking it was about a year and a half.
Yeah, it took a lot of planning.
Lots of planning, getting people involved. How are we going to do this? A lot of paperwork. To become 501c3 is not the easiest thing. We had to get a federal ID number, and but we did. We formed an official board. We had our bylaws, and we became an official entity within Chickashaumc. And Steve was a part of that, as well as many other churches around. And we started collecting funds, and so we had to open up a checking account. And it's just amazing how God blessed. I mean, it did take a long time, but we really didn't have that many obstacles that we couldn't overcome.
Now, all this really took place after the Cornerstone
Way
closed.
After. Bill Nunley passed away, and that's when Cornerstone closed. And this was about 9 years after that.
Right. And
when
so
we started that.
Now we started our serving over at the Resurrection House. When we first started, that was our first meal was there.
Correct. Yeah, Resurrection House was gracious and
Yes.
said we could use their cafeteria until we found our own.
Yeah. And then God stepped in again.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Our very first meal that we served at Resurrection House, one of our community leaders came just to see what was going on, and then he went back to his office, and another woman who wishes to remain anonymous was meeting with him about something else, and had mentioned how wonderful it would be if we could have a soup kitchen in Chickasha, and he said, "Oh, you need to go meet Michael." So they called and came over that afternoon. All this on our very first day. And she had a building but didn't have a soup kitchen. We had a soup kitchen but didn't have a building. And it's like that old commercial, I've got peanut butter and you have chocolate, you know, and we rented together and made something wonderful. And so, yes, we have our own permanent location now.
And we started serving at our new location, which is at 520 West Pennsylvania.
Correct.
Nice location right in the heart of the city, so it's really a good place. We started serving out of there, then COVID hit.
Yeah. 2020 has been an interesting year.
It's been an interesting year.
All the way around has been an interesting year. Yeah, we started to renovate the new building and add a kitchen into it, and right when we got started is when COVID hit. So we only served in our new building in the cafeteria area, I think maybe a couple of weeks.
I was going to say a couple of weeks, I have to say at the most.
But, you know, God has things and plans that COVID can't stop. And
yeah.
So we started serving the meals as to go, and it's just amazing. The funds have been there. This community loves everybody.
Right.
And to be able to buy the styrofoam containers and prepackaged plasticware, bottled water, I mean, the funds have all been there. Our kitchen remodel was going on in all of this. And so actually, it worked out.
Yeah, because it gave us time to get things right.
It did, because we couldn't prepare food in the kitchen, so it was easier for people to prepare their food and put it in to-go containers so we can serve it out the door. But I will tell you this, Steve, when we first opened, we were tickled to get 18 people to come to our
and that's the other thing that's kind of happened is when COVID hit, our numbers, which we kind of expected, doubled and tripled.
Oh, it went way high, yeah. Yeah, we the highest I think we've ever gotten was 108.
Yeah.
But now we're kind of hovering between 75 and 85 on, you know,
right.
Kind of depends upon when in the month that we're talking about, because when people get their welfare checks and stuff like that, we see our numbers not as high.
Right.
But our kitchen is done. We got the stamp of approval that we can cook in there. And so whenever, and our board is meeting this afternoon. And we're going to start looking at when can we open up our cafeteria to our clients to come in. And for them, you know, none of our clients have complained.
None.
Not one of them have complained about how they can't come in. Even when it's been rainy, they just stand and ready for to get their sack of food and go on and eat it somewhere else. But I'm excited to be able to provide a place where they can come in when it's too hot or too cold or too rainy outside. It's just amazing how God's blessed us.
You know, God has blessed us in many, many ways, because where we had to go spend money on all the to-go containers and stuff like that, God knew this, and He provided the means for us to be able to do this in many, many ways.
Yeah, and the key is we're not done.
No,
you know?
Not at all. It's just the beginning.
God put us on fire, and yeah, it's just the beginning. And so, you know, the needs are going to still be there, and who knows? Eventually, maybe we'll be feeding 150 people, 200 people a meal. Right now, we're only open on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays because we wanted to kind of see if we could handle it. But I think we're almost ready whenever we can open our doors to start adding Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I'm ready.
The deal is
I'm ready anyway.
Yeah, I'm ready too. We need volunteers.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because there's ways that if you are part of a group or an organization and you would love to be able to help us out one time a month, we would love to have you. It takes about 4 to 5 people at the soup kitchen to be able to serve it.
Right.
And then if you want to prepare it off-site, at that point you can. and then bring it in. So we're still looking for organizations, and it doesn't have to be a religious organization.
No.
We have businesses.
Civic groups.
We have businesses that help us out.
Yeah, we have businesses, civic groups.
Yeah.
The Red Hat Society has been
Right,
volunteering.
Red Hat ladies, yep.
Some of the nursing homes have been providing, you know, of course with the virus, they can't get out. They have to, we have to go get the food, but that's fine. You know, we'll do what we have to do. But yeah, there's all ways that people can volunteer.
Right, and one way if your group is interested in doing that, you can contact Gail over at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in their office, and she is taking all of our volunteer requests. Yeah. And maybe your group or organization wants to donate to the Chickasha Soup Kitchen. There's ways you can do that. You can go on to our website. We have a website.
Which is?
chickashasoupkitchen.org.
He's the one who designed it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I do. Or you can send it to P.O. Box 50 to Chickasha Soup Kitchen. It
50.
Yep, 50. 74023 is the zip code on that.
73023.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Confusing this morning. But that's another way you can do it. Remember, it is tax deductible too, because you are giving to a 501c3, and we'll make sure you get a receipt on that as well. But a couple of ways you can do that. If you go to our website, you can donate through PayPal. Is the way we do that one.
Exactly.
And we have people who are very very generous that way as well. And
Absolutely.
we've had groups and organizations give us donations as well.
Yes. Matter of fact, this afternoon we were going to have a photo opportunity with one of the groups that gave a sizable donation. And the great thing about what we're doing is that right now we have very minimal overhead costs.
Right.
So whatever you donate, I don't have the exact percentage, but I'm thinking the high 90% of it is going to go to help feed the hungry.
Feed those in need.
Because that's the last thing we want anybody in the Chickasha area to go to bed at night and not have something in their belly.
Exactly.
It's just not right that would happen. So
exactly.
And we don't stop anybody from coming in.
Nope.
All you have to do is you have to be hungry. You don't have to be homeless. You don't have to be poor. You just have to be hungry. And I don't know about you, Steve. I'm hungry a lot.
I am. Me too. Sometimes I'll snack a little bit, you know, if we have enough food. But we always make sure those in need get it first, of course.
Oh, absolutely. But some of the food that has been prepared has been
awesome.
amazing.
It is amazing, and it's not just out of a can or anything like that. This people take care in what they are preparing, so they're getting a good home cooked meal.
And eventually, we're going to get our pattern worked out. The board's working on this now that we're going to have our new facility where we're going to actually be able to cook in there. But don't let the idea that you may not be able to cook or be able to provide the food. We have the funds for that.
Right.
We just need your time. And some of them are soups that are easy to make. You don't have to be a gourmet chef. We can tell you this is how to make it. You can make it. There should be no reason why you can't volunteer.
Exactly. And we serve 11:30 till 1 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Like I say, we're shooting for that Tuesday, Thursday if we get enough volunteers.
Yes.
That is the big key. If we get enough volunteers, we can open this up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we've got 5 days a week covered when we can do that. So,
absolutely.
Any last comments you'd like to share?
One other thing I'd like to say is that it's a great thing that Chickasha has these kind of ministries, because I want to lift up our partners, the Emergency Food Pantry, which helps people get some groceries to put in their pantries, just to kind of get them a couple of days until they can get some other funds. It's an emergency food pantry, but that helps them get some things that they can cook at home. And then we have Mobile Meals, which is out there.
Right. We've had a program on them.
Oh, you have? That's great.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's a
we did.
great ministry too, of bringing meals to people who can't get out. And then we have the soup kitchen. So between the three of us, I think we've got it covered. And so.
And are you still doing peanut butter jelly sandwiches?
And we're still putting out our peanut butter jelly.
You're still doing peanut butter jelly sandwiches.
And the Episcopal Church has put out bottled water when it gets really hot.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where God doesn't see denominational boundaries. Just sees that there's a need, and then there's God's children out there, and get to work.
Michael, thank you for stopping in, and thank you for being part of our program, Epworth in Action.
Thank you for inviting me. This is great. I appreciate it, Steve.
Coming up next, Pastor Scott Kennedy has got some words of encouragement for us.
In the early years of the church, there was a time where the church in Jerusalem had a great need. The Apostle Paul sent out a call to the other churches to come to their aid at that time. And it's an important reminder to us that we are to work together to find a way to help whoever it is that's in need. I think part of that's what helped allow the soup kitchen to come together here in Chickasha. A number of churches coming together, working together to be able to help meet a very human need for folks here in our community. In recent episodes, we talked about the work of the mobile meals. We've talked about other ways that we've worked to help food needs and assistance in our community. This is one part of that, a way that we're able to help meet a very physical need. Jesus called us to feed our neighbors when they were in need. And so we're thankful for this ministry and for the way that God calls us to work together. Just last week, there came an opportunity where members of our congregation were able to help provide food to 50 families here in Chickasha. And we do it all for God's glory and to meet the very real physical need that God cares for in our lives. So we celebrate the work of the soup kitchen and all those who are a part of it. And we know that it's such an important ministry to those who are in need in this community. And we give thanks for all their work. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Scott. And again, thank you for joining us for Epworth in Action. This program initially airs on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock on our live stream channel on YouTube, as well as Facebook Live and on Suddenlink Channel 6. So join us for our initial broadcast on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock for that. It'll also repeat throughout the week on the Suddenlink Channel 6, and you can always go and download or view it on YouTube or on Facebook. Folks, thanks again for joining us for Epworth in Action. Have a blessed week.